any looped audio will automatically fit the current tempo. So a loop is 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars, stuff like that. 3 bars, 5 bars, 7 bars, that's not a loop. Any program is the same. So anything that's already cut to a loop will work with Ableton Live just fine. You just have to make sure those are cut to loops. Basically, anything you get from a loop library or something like that will be cut and work properly. Input quantize. If I want to quantize stuff as I'm recording, I can turn on my input quantize. So, for example, like if I put in a drum beat over here, this. So I got that there, and if I want to go right? So it's automatically quantizing as I go. And the reason why it's quantizing as I go is because I got my edit, record, quantize turned on right here. Under my edit menu, record quantization, and I turned it on to 16th notes. So that's how that works there. You want to make sure that's always turned on if you want the input quantize. You can always quantize later as you go, and we're going to talk about that another time. Here. 2 views, the tab key to switch back and forth, session view and arrangement view. Some other cool shortcuts is the space bar, start and stop, that's pretty standard. Shift tab switches between our clip view and our plugin view. So I double click on this, I can flip back and forth between my plugin and my clip view. Command T is a new audio track, Command Shift T is a new MIDI track, Command Option T is a new return track. B turns the draw mode on and off, so if I want to draw in my notes down here, I hit B and it turns it on. And I can click on it and delete these notes. And then over here in my arrangement view, our mix window looks like this over here. So if I look over here on the right hand side, this is what the mix window looks like here. I got my input output, my I/O section here, and then I've got my mix. Here's my level, here's my return, send, how much it sends, and then here's my pan. I can drag up and down on that. I can mute it, unmute it, solo, all that stuff there. So it's basically the same as this view right here. You can see how everything corresponds. It looks the same, it's just on its side instead of up and down. All right, a couple things about the preferences. Now some of these are a little bit different just because I wrote these with a little bit ago. Is it a pan or a pan using utility? Not necessarily. No, I mean, if you want to pan stuff using this one, well, here, let me show you a cool trick with panning real quick. So I usually don't, I have utility on every track, but I have my utility on every track for the gain, if I want to do automation for my gain. I do all my gain automation in the utility plugin just because I don't like to have my faders moving up and down as it plays through. But anything like panning, I'll usually do directly on the track. You like right-clicking the pan. Oh, using stereo pan. Yeah, that's actually a new thing. You can do some really cool stuff with that. I usually keep it in regular stereo panning mode, not split stereo. It depends on how you want to use it and what you're doing with it. If I'm doing simple panning stuff back and forth, then this is great. But if I'm taking a stereo track and making it mono, I'll usually do that using utility just because it's the old school way to do it. Splitting it into stereo, split stereo is like a new thing for Ableton Live. It hasn't been around that long. But you could also just take these and put them into the middle to make it mono. And that's like a Pro Tools thing you could do. But let me show you something really cool you can do for panning, is this auto pan thing. It's a plugin that comes with Ableton Live. And the auto pan is neat. I'm going to stick on the piano part here. The auto pan is neat. But I'm going to show you something really cool about the auto pan. So I got this. So I can tell, whoops, hold on, let me zoom in better. I can make it pan. You can see how it's panning back and forth. Let's put this in tempo. But then what I can do is I can also mess with my phase. And I can have it cut in and out. And you just arrange these different controls here so it fits. So you can do that kind of stuff like that. Yeah, it's like a makeshift gate, exactly. So that's something a lot of people don't really. I don't think a lot of people know that about the auto pan. If you mess with, if you set the phase here, you can make it into kind of like a makeshift, kind of a rhythmic gate, I would say. So that's a cool little use for that. The auto pan can be used for more than just for panning. Okay, so let's look at the preferences. First of all, I already mentioned this before, and these are settings that I really recommend that you have. Let's just start up here in the beginning. So the look and feel, follow behavior, scroll, and a lot of these are preferences, right? So you set these however you want, but some things that I kind of recommend. So for example, permanent scrub areas. I recommend having permanent scrub areas turned on, and what this does is it means that this whole section here is for scrubbing, or sorry, turn it off, because what it means is this whole section here is my magnifying glass. If I turn those on, the default is on, by the way. So if I turn them on, what happens is this part here becomes my speaker, and only this part up here is my magnifying glass to click and zoom in and out. And down here is going to start the loop. Right, I can start at different places. Right, but I don't really, and this might just be because I've been using Ableton Live for so long and I got used to certain ways, but I recommend to turn that off. And then if you want to get your little scrubber thing up here, you hold down Shift and it turns that back on. So now I can scrub through, I can start from different places in my audio. I can start from different places, right over here. But all I have to do is hold down Shift, but otherwise I can just click and drag and zoom in and out. So you can, you can from up here or down here. And I'm just kind of used to doing it from down here, I think, so that's why I just do it. The other option for zooming, you just click and hit the plus and minus keys. You don't have to hold any modifiers or anything like that. So that's a really cool little, cool little thing there. Zoom display, if you want to make your display a little bit bigger. So oftentimes, I don't know why it wasn't set up like this right now, but I usually leave mine at like 110 so I can see stuff better because my monitor is pretty big, and so I don't really need to see everything so small on here. So I usually keep it pretty big so it's just easy to see everything right here because I have plenty of space on my monitor. So I usually keep that at 110%, but if I was on a laptop machine that's like a 13-inch Mac, I wouldn't. I would keep it at the normal default. Auto assign track colors, whatever. I think that's on by default. That doesn't matter. Default track color, whatever. Clip color goes to the track color. Yes, theme. You can choose different themes and have it set for however you want. Audio. This part's important. I've got mine set for Soundflower now. Let's see what happens if I just set it for my universal. Let's see what happens if I can get this to play. Okay, cool. Yeah, good. So here's where you set your input device and your output device. You can have two different ones. Your input device can be like your microphone on your computer or whatever. So it's in that sense, it's way easier than using Pro Tools. You don't have to set up like all these different things. If you want to use multiple input devices, you can set up different things, but you don't have to do that. So your audio input device, your audio output device is here. You can configure your output however you want. Down here you've got your sample rate. You could change that. High quality, just leave that on. Latency, this is where you can change your buffer size. So if you need more CPU power, go ahead and crank that up. If you're, like my computer is like, I don't know, 8 6i7 cores and 32 gigs of RAM. So I usually just leave mine at 128 and call it a day. But if you have like 4 gigs of RAM and like 2 cores or whatever, you might want to change this up to a higher buffer size. It's going to be more latency. We've talked about that in the past, but that's a good thing to keep, to know where it is. Over here, the MIDI link in MIDI page. This is if you want to have link on or off or show it or whatever. So you can hide that or unhide it. It just, all it's going to do is just over here in the upper left-hand corner, if you look in the left-hand corner, it's going to click, I can hide it or I can show it. I just leave mine on. I don't really use link all the time, but I leave it on because just when I need to use it. Down here is when you have MIDI devices connected to Ableton Live. Here is your control surface stuff. We're going to talk about this another day once I bring the push in and stuff, because I want to show you how to set that up. But here, this is important here, your MIDI ports, whatever I have connected up to my keyboard, up to my computer. So if I've got 2 different MIDI controllers set up. I actually have 1, 2, 3 controllers set up right now, and I'm going to bring a 4th controller in and probably take away this Arturia keyboard for a while, because I don't know. I like using it, but I don't know. I like using the bigger keyboard. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'll probably put my push right here. Yeah, I'll probably take away the Arturia and just use the push, even though the Arturia is good for certain things. But anyway, yeah, I'll have to decide about that. Decisions. So basically, this here has 3 different parts. You've got the track, you've got the sync, and you've got the remote. Track is for your keyboard, like the actual keys on the keyboard, MIDI notes, stuff like that. Sync is if you have something like a drum machine or something like that. When we talk about sampling, I'll show you my MPC Live. I actually picked up another cable for it from my house, so I can actually use that more easily now. And then the remote is for the knobs on your keyboard. So any kind of knobs that you're turning and twisting. Here, I can show you real quick if I don't knock over my stuff. So here, like these knobs here, you can see kind of on here, the knobs. That would be remote. This would be track, and sync would be if I hit play on something, I want it to follow the tempo of my Ableton Live session. So that's what those things are right there. And you can turn them on and off. You can see I don't have sync turned on for anything because I don't have anything that sends out any sync data or receives sync data right now plugged in. But I'm going to be, I'm going to bring my, oh, Liv, you'll like this if you're still here. I'm going to bring in my sub 37 and set up so we can see that. And also my, MPC. So we'll be talking about that this week. Some cool stuff there. All right. File folder. This is for just some general file stuff. In here, if you want to save up your set as a default set, like if you put a bunch of stuff in it, you want to keep that so every time you load up Ableton Live, it keeps it, go ahead and click Save. Create analysis files. Hit yes, that means when you bring stuff in, it'll create an analysis file. You don't really want that. Sample editor. If you have another sample editor on your computer, you might want that. I don't ever use it, but I do have Adobe Audition. So I could set it up to open up Adobe Audition, and then what that would do, it would open up my sample editor. So, for example, if I click on this and I go over here, and you can see there's an edit button, that should open my Adobe Audition. I don't want to mess with it right now because I haven't. Theoretics lives a stub 37. Yep, absolutely. And we're gonna give that like a little space, maybe down at the bottom of the screen or something like that. So over here, and I hope y'all noticed my my little SAE logo. I made that SAE logo last week on Friday after class. Was it Friday or Thursday? I don't remember, but I made that little SAE logo, and I'm gonna make it cleaner. It's not super clean. I made it in a different window size, but I'm gonna clean it up and change it around a little bit. I'm trying to make this like look a little bit more professional. So The temporary folder, you can browse for your temporary folder where it puts stuff like temporary, like live recordings when you have like a, when you have an untitled file, it'll put it there. You can change where that goes. Your Max application, I don't have a separate version of Max on here. I'm just using the bundled version of Max, which is good enough for what I use it for. I don't really do a lot of crazy stuff with Max for Live. The decoding cache. So here's something a lot of people don't really know, is that when you drag and drop an MP3 into Ableton Live or any DAW, it doesn't matter which DAW you're talking about, when you drag an MP3 into a DAW, it converts that MP3 to a WAV file or an AI file, depending on how you have your setup. And on Logic and Pro Tools, it puts those files into your audio files folder in part of the session that you're in. Ableton Live doesn't work like that. Ableton Live puts stuff into its own separate cache folder that's like a general folder. So whenever you drag and drop MP3s in, it decodes it in the background and puts it into that folder. And it's fine, but it can get annoying if you don't know that's a thing and you're doing a lot of MP3 stuff. It'll eat up your hard drive. And so Ableton Live used to eat up my hard drive, and I used to not know why. And then I found this thing. I was like, what does this button do? And I hit cleanup. And then what it did was it flushed my cache. So everything was like now gone. And what it just means is when you're using a session that uses MP3s, if you clean up the cache, it has to rebuild those MP3s. It'll still work. It'll just take a little bit to load. All right, the library. Over here, I have my collect files on export. I have it set to never. I think the default is ask. What this is going to do is that whenever you drag in a sample from somewhere, if you have it set to always, it's going to collect those samples into your library. I don't want to collect it in my library because I keep my library on my machine, and I don't really need to collect these in my library. I keep everything set up in different places. But yeah, that's a pretty cool little. It's a cool little thing you can set up how you want to set up. You can also browse for the location of your library. And then also you can browse where you want your folder for packs to be installed. So if you have a lot of information on your packs and you don't want to install them onto your current drive, like your current internal hard drive, you can put them somewhere else. Then we have our plugins. And this one's a little bit different from the notes. If you're following along in the notes, it's a little bit different. There's no thing here for the plugins stuff. So here we have a rescan for plugins, my audio units, my VST2 units. I don't have a custom folder set up, so I don't ever use that one. And VST3 plugins. I don't really use the VST3 plugins right now because not all the companies are supporting it yet. I also I haven't really done a lot of research on VST3s. Actually, I should probably research about it and see what's up with it. But I just use VST2s for the time being. And audio units when I need to. Plugin windows. Multiple plugin windows, yes. Auto hide, no. Auto open plugin windows, yes. So if you turn auto hide on, it's like 2 but 1 more. How can it not be better? Exactly, it goes up to 11. It goes up to 11. Here, if I have this plugin open, let's open up a third-party plugin here. So let's see here, I've got, let's open up ARP 2600, there's that. And let's not open up battery because battery is not playing nice with stuff today. So we're gonna make another file here and we'll open up the booklet easel. Now, depending on which track I click on, it'll open up one or the other. So this is really useful if you just want to have one instrument on the screen at the same time. But where this becomes less useful is if I'm working on this one, but I'm listening to an EQ of my drums over here. I'm messing with my filter and I want to dial this filter in. Let's say I'm messing with this. So I'm messing with this filter here, but I want to see my ARP. Right. So I'm going here. So now you can see, I can see this one now, but as soon as I click over to my drums, I can no longer see it, right? So I don't like to have that. I like to have it so everything just stays open until I close it out. So I just pull up my folders here and I turn this off. There we go. Boom. Cool. So now I can see everything at the same time, and I can just flip between them, because usually I don't have two synths open at the same time, but I usually have like an effect open as I'm clicking on something else, and like maybe a synth and stuff like that. And also, again, it just depends on how big your computer is. It depends on how you use Ableton Live. So what else is in here? Okay, record, warp, and launch. This one's got some good stuff in it to change. For example, the file type, the WAV. Always use WAV. It's just more compatible across the board with Windows and Mac. Bit depth 24, count in, I set that to none. You can also change that in your metronome. Exclusive, ARM, solo, I don't have set for exclusive. If you want to use, if you have exclusive turned on for solo, that just means that if I click on something, it's gonna unsolo the first thing and solo the next thing. If I wanted to solo multiple things, I can hold down Command and solo multiple things, or probably Control in a Windows machine. But I usually leave that off there. Clip update rate, 16th is fine. Record session automation in all tracks. Now, if you only want to record session automation in the armed tracks only, you can hit this to armed. But I like to be able to record session automation everywhere, whether it's record armed or not. So I keep it to all tracks. And then what that means is I just have to turn this on and off to be able to record my session automation data into the track. So start playback with record. I turn this one off. The record key is F9. You can hit F9 to record. I turn this off because what that means is it lets me set up my record to start, to be ready to record, and then when I situate myself, and then I hit go, and it's ready to go. Again, it depends on how you're using Ableton Live. If you're using it more in a live situation where you're setting up things to record immediately, then you probably want to have that set for on. Record, let's say warp and fade, loop, warp, short samples, turn that to auto, auto warp, long samples, yes. Default warp mode, probably beats. Create fades on clip edges, turn that off. I don't like that one. I personally, I mean, whatever, you can do whatever you want, but I turn it off. Launch, default launch mode is trigger, that's a good one. Default launch quantization, global, yes. Select on launch, off. Select next scene on launch, off. Start recording on scene launch, off. And again, this is more for if you're using the push in a live situation. Start playback with tap tempo. Up to you. Mine was off. I think the off is default. I think I prefer to have mine on. And then licenses and maintenance over here. And this just shows you how many like sweet add-ons and stuff you have authorized. So that's that. And that's what's up. That's it. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some stuff over here. What I want you to do for your assignment, I'm gonna go ahead and make a new, oops, I don't want to save that. Hold on. Make a new session. Don't save. Delete all my files that I just recorded. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here and look at the Ableton Live session module here. And you'll see that there is this exercise here. Let me just go ahead and make sure that's turned on for you. And I'm going to give you a week to do it. Boop. Another week after that, if you're feeling lazy. Starting from today. Yes, June 1st. Wow. Where'd the year go? Oh, that's right. The year was spent sitting in my bedroom. Wait, let's go over here to A2. I'm just going to turn on for both classes right now. So here we go, Ableton Live. There we go. Do and from. Awesome. Cool. All right, so Ableton session setup exercise. Yep, so that's what you want to do. So what we're going to do with this is you're going to use these hip hop samples here. When is this module over again? I don't know. You can look at the dates on the weeks. It's over on the 16th. So the hip hop samples here. This is a loop pack that I've compiled from different places all around the internet, and you can download that. And there's a whole bunch of cool loops in here. And basically, what you're going to do is go in here and download the link. Yeah, you can. If you have questions about it, let's talk. But not now. Now is like the opposite of the right time to talk about that. So in here, it's an exercise. What you'll do is you'll download this hip hop samples. I mean, also if your grade is not good, that just means you haven't been turning stuff in. So turn stuff in. Really, all you're going to do is you're just going to load stuff up. And this just talks about some of these things here. You can preview some stuff. You can load things in. And basically, it's just telling you to go ahead and just go over into your, like in the packs over here on the left, download some packs. The hip hop samples are a great place to start. And make sure you navigate to those to get them. Use the browser, search loops, either using clips or packs. Drag files into your session view. So for example, what I would do is I go in here and I say, all right, I'm going to, I've went and I added my folder and I find my different samples. I've got mine on a sample drive here, and I just go in here and I say, all right, we're going to get our sample libraries, and I'm going to pull in the dubstep samples because dubstep. Or let's do trap. So I got my trap samples here, and I got trap, and I just load these in. I don't really have that many because I don't really do much trap music, but got these. So now it pulls this in over here on the left, and here's all my trap samples. So now what I can do is I can just go in here and I can say, all right, let's grab some loops and stuff. These are all very, 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 very old. Let's get the kicks main. Oh yeah. What? So we got that there. Boom. Mm-hmm. Right, got that. And I can just drag these in, and I can just put stuff together, like what you saw me do in the beginning. Not sure why this one is. I guess how it's supposed to be. Cool. Go over here, let's get our snares main. Alright, that's like too long. Yeah. Alright, and now I just lay this out. So I've got my loops in here. I like those loops. Let's get a lead in here. What's the vocal shouts? These are ridiculous. This is like so old. Let's go to the Fox loops. Alright, we'll use this one here. Alright, now I can do this. So when all traps sounded the same, exactly the same, right? right? So now we got this here, and now you can just take these and lay these out in a way that kind of makes some kind of sense, right? I'm not asking you to make any kind of stuff with MIDI or anything like that. I'm going to go over here, and we're going to say, all right, these are the drums, and this is my vocal. It's a vocal loop. This is my synth. All right. And put like that there. And now I can just stop these and I can say, all right, let's start with my kicks and my claps. And you can just take these, and what you could do, just like with Logic or Pro Tools, to make a copy of something, to move it around, all you do is just hold down Option and drag it around. So I hold Option here, and now I can play it from over here. It can be like, all right, so I got that there. And I can even duplicate my scene by clicking on the scene over here on the right, and hitting Command D, and it will duplicate that scene. And now I've got, like, I can put my hi-hats in here, so we can kind of build it up. All right. I can duplicate this, hold down Option, drag this one in, this here. Right. Yeah, everybody uses totally different track colors. You can use whatever you want. And that's fine. I actually don't care about what track colors. I don't think it matters what track colors you use. It's just important that you use track colors. I think that's really important that you stay organized. But whatever organization that is for you, that's fine. You know, whatever it is. All right, and this is how we could do this. Now, here's what the next part of that assignment talks about: is making scenes for your song, which I just did, and then take these scenes and copy them into the arrangement view. So I'm going to take these here, and I hold down Shift and I click them all to select them, and I can hit Command C, and it copies them, and I hit Tab to put them to move over to the screen, and I just click on the beginning, and I hit Command V to paste them in. Now you're going to notice when you hit Command V, they're kind of grayed out. See, they're grayed out. So what I want to do is I'm going to make them not grayed out. So I hit this little button right over here. Boop, our back to arrangement button. And now I can drag these over, and I can just loop this out. So that's one way to do that. The other way that's more fun actually is if I record them into the other screen. So let me show you that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record, ready to record here, and I'm going to hit go. And I'm just going to use my up and down arrow keys to kind of go through my different little parts that I laid out. And I'm just going to play this as it goes. Going to play this long. Right, so we got this here. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to definitely post this up. So over here, I just recorded all that stuff into my arrangement view because I hit that record button up top. You can see it's grayed out. So what I'll do is I'll just click on this little button right over here. There's the button right there. It's called Back to Arrangement. Click on that, and now everything becomes a solid color. Now if I hit play, I can move things around. Now I can edit stuff and do whatever I want. Jelani saying you can change the pitch of each loop. Yeah, you can. So for example, like this melodic line here. Let me just solo this out. Right, these two last notes here, let's make those go up. So go over here to my clip, go to Transposition, grab these two here. Let's just move them up an octave and see what that sounds like. Cool. Come on. Oh, that's super annoying. Come on. There we go. Cool. So now you can hear how that moves that around. So. So Jelani says, can you reverse it too? Absolutely. The reverse button is right over here. Rev. So I could take this and let's make half of it like that. And then the other half is like, actually, let's do it like this. Let's take this and put it down here, duplicate that. Get over here like this. And we'll reverse this one. Oop, there it is. And move that just over here to the end. Cool. I can just keep duplicating that over here. And this is what I'm like, you can start to see what I'm talking about the speed of things. So you can you get your ideas together over here, and then you get this over here, and you can flip things and reverse them and move them around and stuff like that. And just once you get used to using Ableton Live, you move super, super fast. So that's what's up with Ableton Live. Let's go ahead and stop here for the day and move over to Zoom, and then we can talk about stuff, all right? Yeah, cool. Any questions you have, let's save them for Zoom. Let's meet up on Zoom in, let's do 5 minutes. Just like a quick little stretch. And we'll meet over on Zoom. And if you're just joining us today and you've never been here before, so this is a class for SAE. You can see the little logo on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I'm here every day from 9:30 until noonish teaching about stuff. And the next couple weeks are Ableton Live, and then after that is going to be sampling. So there's some pretty cool stuff going on for the next couple weeks. So that is what is up. What genre was this? This is trap. This is circa 2012, 2013 trap. Not house, it's trap. but it's like where what they call the hip hop trap is like the kind of what this became. So this is like electronic trap. This is like what trap started with, as far as like in 2012, 2000, around that area of time. That's what kind of started what we have is the modern trap, like the rolling hi-hats and all that stuff, and these kind of like electronic stuff. Oh, like dubstep house trap. I mean, I don't know. I mean, ish, I guess. I mean, dubstep's a different genre. They're kind of connected, but this is less abrasive, less like wobble synths. And what modern like hip hop trap is today is more connected to this than it is to dubstep. So it's just called trap. It's not called anything other than just trap. Dubstep house trap is 3 different genres. But yeah, if you're not into the dance music scene, yeah. Yes. Anyway, cool. Let's talk about it in like Bower trap. Yes, this is Bower trap. This is the stuff that Bower was big for. And like before that Bower came along about a year into the movement, or at least the big one that what was that the one that everybody did the video on. That was like a year after all this stuff started, or so, like a little bit more actually. But we could talk about that. Let's talk about that in Zoom, where we can actually talk about it. So I'll see you all over there. We'll be back let's be back there at like 12:22ish, 12:23. Yeah, Flux Pavilion, all that stuff. Yep. Yeah, Harlem Shake. Yeah, that's the Bower track. Yeah.